Well, friends, as you may know, the Judge Aileen Cannon show is on full display in a federal courtroom down in Florida in Donald Trump's classified documents, obstruction of justice, espionage case. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, Donald Trump's favorite judge and benefactor, Aileen Cannon, is holding an all-day hearing, or by the time you watch this video, has held an all-day hearing in a federal courtroom down in Florida in Donald Trump's prosecution, where he's charged with unlawfully retaining classified documents, obstructing justice, and violating our nation's espionage laws. It's a case that's being presided over by Judge Aileen Cannon, who Donald Trump appointed to the federal bench. Donald Trump gave her a lifetime appointment as a federal judge, and she is now presiding over the case involving the defendant who gave her her job. So she's presiding today over motions hearings. Donald Trump has filed, I believe, a total of 7 motions that are still outstanding. And today she decided to take up 2 of those motions. And they are motions to dismiss the case. Just throw it out, toss it altogether. So Donald Trump will not face prosecution for unlawfully retaining classified documents, obstructing justice, and violating our nation's espionage laws. Let's start with the recent reporting. This from NBC News. Trump to attend classified documents hearing seeking dismissal of charges. And that article begins, Judge Cannon has said that today's hearing is expected to take all day. Trump's legal team and prosecutors from Special Counsel Jack Smith's office are expected to argue their positions on whether some or all of the charges against Trump should be thrown out because of the Presidential Records Act before the case goes to trial. Smith has urged Judge Cannon to reject Trump's claims that his presidential records can be transformed into personal records upon being removed from the White House. The 2 sides will also discuss a second motion to dismiss the case on the theory that the main statute used against Trump is unconstitutionally vague as it applies to presidents. Trump faces dozens of criminal charges in the case, including willful retention of national defense information. That's a crime that falls under the Espionage Act. False statements and representations, conspiracy to obstruct justice, withholding a document or record, and corruptly concealing a record. He has pleaded not guilty to all counts. Okay, friends, let's talk about 3 of the most important takeaways of what's going on in that courtroom down in Florida in a case being presided over by Judge Aileen Cannon. First, these motions that were filed by Trump's defense attorneys to just throw out the case in its entirety, dismiss the charges. These motions are designed primarily to delay the prosecution, to push the trial date down the road. I mean, these claims are, I think it's fair to call them frivolous, baseless, without any support in the law. Second point, I say that these motions are designed for delay, and Donald Trump is winning the delay game. Why do I say that? Long ago in this case, Judge Aileen Cannon set a May 20th trial date, many, many months back. That date is no longer viable. That date is no longer in play. In fact, last time this case was up for a status hearing a few weeks ago, Judge Cannon asked the parties, the prosecutors and the defense attorneys, to propose realistic trial dates. Jack Smith's team proposed July 8th. Donald Trump's defense team didn't want to propose a trial date at all. They resisted. They've maintained all along that, oh, this case can only be tried long after the presidential election because, of course, in the horrific event Donald Trump is elected, Donald Trump will direct the corrupt attorney general he will undoubtedly appoint. He'll direct that attorney general to simply dismiss the federal case against Donald Trump if it has not gone to trial. Of course, if any federal case goes to trial and results in a conviction, then if Donald Trump is elected president, he'll simply pardon himself. I don't think a presidential self-pardon is a thing. I don't think the courts would endorse it as being lawful and constitutional, because if they did, then it would just be another way to put a president above and beyond the reach of the criminal laws of our country. All of that is beside the point. So Donald Trump's defense attorneys resisted proposing a trial date, but when Judge Cannon directed them to, they said, okay, we could do August 12th. So it sounds like the case could be tried between July 8th. It could start between July 8th, which is what Jack Smith proposed, and August 12th, which is what Donald Trump's defense team proposed. You know what Judge Cannon said at the last status hearing when they were discussing possible trial dates? No, that's not realistic. Not realistic. You only have about a month or a month and a week of disagreement there. Is it going to be July 8th or August 12th? How can that not be realistic? Judge, all you have to do is pick one or the other or split the baby. You know, set it for August 1st. Not realistic, says Judge Cannon. That is Judge Cannon giving Donald Trump an assist on the delay front, plain and simple. So the second takeaway is because Judge Cannon refuses to even set a trial date even after the parties proposed trial dates that were pretty close together, she is continuing to assist Donald Trump. And that brings us to the third takeaway, friends. You don't often hear this from a former career prosecutor, but I almost hope Judge Cannon grants Donald Trump's motion to dismiss the case. Throw out all the charges. Now that may sound counterintuitive, right? No. We want her to deny the motion to dismiss and move the case in the direction of a trial. Here's the thing. Judge Aileen Cannon should not be presiding over this case. Why do I say that? Because the federal law sets the standard for when a judge shall remove themselves from presiding over a case. When they shall recuse from the case. You know what that standard is in the federal law? If a judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, the judge shall remove themselves from the case. Judge Cannon's impartiality might reasonably be questioned. Indeed, call after call after call she has made in Donald Trump's favor in the most questionable ways, but none more questionable that when she directed the Department of Justice not to investigate the stolen documents that the FBI seized from Mar-a-Lago. And what did the appellate court do, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals? They reversed her. They found that she abused her discretion in a way that worked to the extreme benefit of Donald Trump, and they found, or at least they stated in their opinion, that judges don't have the right to interfere in ongoing investigations, and yet she did. She did something the law did not allow. She did something that was an abuse of her judicial discretion to the extreme benefit of Donald Trump. And she has been doing things to the benefit of Donald Trump, albeit less dramatic things than that, throughout the history of this case, including refusing to set a trial date when even Donald Trump's attorneys said August 12th is an appropriate trial date. So here is why I say, friends, I almost hope she grants the motions to dismiss, just throws the case out altogether, because Jack Smith will appeal that decision. And the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals very likely would reverse her again, would announce she has now abused her discretion, her judicial discretion, a second time, even being taken to the judicial woodshed after she did it the first time. So she's unwilling or unable to learn her lesson, to behave the way a fair, impartial, independent, unbiased judge should behave. And I tend to believe if she does it again, if she grants the motion to dismiss, and if the case is appealed again up to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, they will not only reverse her, but it will result in her being removed, having to recuse from the case. And a fair, independent, impartial judge, one who does not owe their very job, their life tenure on the federal bench, to the defendant, will be appointed. And the good news is, friends, if a new judge is appointed, if a new judge steps in and takes over the case from Judge Cannon, that will not involve delay. You don't go back to jump and start the case all over again. You know, it's not unusual for judges to change calendar assignments over time, such that, you know, one judge will be presiding over a case that is maybe halfway through the process, and another judge steps in and assumes responsibility for that judge's cases. Happens all the time, and it's usually seamless. The case just continues apace. So rarely would you hear me say that I hope a judge grants a motion to dismiss a criminal case, particularly against Donald Trump, given all of the crimes he's committed against the American people, against our democracy. But this is one where I almost hope she does, because that will finally get us to the right result, which is having a fair, independent, impartial, unbiased judge presiding over Donald Trump's federal prosecution down in Florida. So friends, tomorrow I'll do another Justice Matters video, kind of updating how that all-day hearing down in Florida played out, how it wrapped up. And we will see whether Judge Aileen Cannon continues to direct this case sort of away from justice, or whether she will relent and maybe, just maybe, begin moving the case in the direction of justice. I know what I'm hoping for. I think I know what you're hoping for. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.